Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, hosted by Aaron Locks and sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. Join us live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as Aaron sits down with coaches, recreation professionals, and industry leaders to discuss youth sports, athlete development, coaching excellence, and the positive impact sports have on young people and communities. Tune in for expert insights, inspiring stories, and practical strategies to help young athletes succeed. In this episode, Christiana discusses how youth sports help build confidence, inclusion, leadership, and life skills while creating positive experiences for kids and families through recreation programs.
Good day, everybody. This is Aaron from the National Academy of Athletics, your host of Youth Sports Mastery here on the Daily Parks and Rec Show. I am fired up today to have Christiana with us. I am in a hotel here in beautiful San Diego. Yesterday, we got to spend some time with the California Parks and Recreation Society. What a great group of rec pros down there, right, Christiana?
Oh yeah, it was wonderful.
It was awesome. Hey, we're gonna give you some information. We're gonna run some spots here, and then after that, we're gonna come in. We're gonna introduce the guests. We're gonna dive right in and talk everything youth sports. All right, guys, roll it.
300 episodes. What started as a small idea, a way to share stories from the parks and recreation community, has grown into something truly special. From heartfelt conversations to behind-the-scenes stories that celebrate everyday heroes. Every episode, every message, every listen has been powered by you. To our loyal listeners, our partners, and every Parks and Rec professional who continues to inspire us, thank you. You've helped us grow, you've helped us evolve, and you've reminded us why we do this, to tell stories that matter. This milestone isn't just ours, it's yours too. As we celebrate our 300th episode, we look ahead to the next chapter. More stories, more community, more impact. From all of us here at DPRS Media Company, thank you for believing in us, for tuning in, and for helping us make it this far. Here's to the next 300 episodes and beyond. Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.
And we're back. You know, it's crazy to think there's been 300 episodes of what they're doing and the effort behind the scenes. It's so impactful. And I love, yesterday we got to hang out with the Parks and Rec professionals from the whole San Diego County, and it was pretty amazing. Christiana, do me a favor. I want you to introduce yourself because I can never do you justice. Just about who you are, your background, what's happening, and then we can dig right in and let everybody know what's going on. So give me a little bit of who are you?
Yeah, I am a local San Diegan, born and raised in San Diego. Absolutely love the area. Worked for several years in refugee resettlement, working with new immigrants coming into San Diego. So just that kind of started my passion and working with the refugee youth, working with them really well. Love working and sharing with new people, seeing their experience and sharing my experience and really growing with them. So my background was more into kind of social work field, case management, and then kind of took a shift with my husband, and we decided to partner together and look for new opportunities.
Awesome. Love that. So your background in sports and your involvement in sports, because obviously you have an appreciation for it, you're working in it. So give me a little bit about that. Tell me a little bit, tell us your background in sports.
So I've been pretty athletic all my life. My main sport, though, was Taekwondo, and I actually became a black belt and a secondary black belt and became an instructor. So from a young age, from 16, I started instructing students and mostly youth in sports. So that was kind of my background, working with kids in sports. And I loved the aspects of martial arts because it brings in not just the physical, but it's also, for the students to be able to get their next rank, they'd have to get a letter from their teacher saying they're doing a good job at school, a recommendation from their parents. So it made sure that they're not only good at the sport, but they're a good person all around. And that was really important of what I want to bring into what I do here.
I love that. Jim Perry, who has been on the show before, and I love Coach Perry. He talks about creating good citizens, right? And I love the fact. So your background in that. Well, first of all, black belt. Okay, now I get the rest of the story. Good for you. Congratulations. That's not an easy thing to do. They don't just hand those out anywhere, right? So when you decided to, delve into this component, obviously it makes a lot of sense with your background and what you've done and how you care about the kids. But I want to pull on a thread there a little bit. You talked about, and again, I use the word good citizens. You talk about, it takes a village. I was raised where it takes a village. That right? Everybody, the community to raise kids. Tell me a little bit about your philosophy with that. And what's your experience? Because we don't know, what was little Christiana like? What was that like when you were coming up, and how did that affect you?
I think a big part of my life was, my neighborhood and playing outside with the neighbors. My parents kind of had a deal with our neighbors across the street. They'd watch their kids, we'd watch their, it's back and forth. And then I had some very important mentors for me in Taekwondo, as well as in the church I grew up in, which made a really big impact on my life.
Yeah. If you have a village, it's a game changer, and the studies that show that kids that have a village, right? Not just a good family, because that's important, but that the chosen family, right? That community, like you said, it does make all the difference. So you got involved with Adrian. I guess we should be transparent as the area captain owner for the San Diego North. What was one of the deciding factors of getting involved? Why National Academy of Athletics? As if I don't know.
So my husband and I were looking for a new venture for ourselves. My husband had been very deeply involved in directing youth sports for several years. And so we wanted something that we could work on together, that we were both passionate about. We wanted to be very accessible to the community, not be super privatized or very expensive, so that we could impact as many youth as we can. And so when we researched National Academy of Athletics, we just felt like that was the right fit for us. When we talked to the different people working in it, everyone seemed to have a true passion. It wasn't just about making money. It was about really like the passion and philosophy behind it.
Love that. And it's interesting because as we met you and you came to meet the team, there was an instant vibe that we got. We're like, oh, there are people, right?
Yes.
So what did you get yesterday? You went and hung out with a whole bunch of Parks and Rec professionals yesterday. Well, I got uplifted, listening to Cindy from up in Northern Park and listening to the people talk and everything, and meeting the people. It was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great. And I got to talk with some students from SDSU that were there for a class and interested in the profession. And I loved hearing their perspective and how they were encouraged by it, but also, they had their own stories of why they were interested in it. And it was great to hear from them.
I feel, if you're a Parks and Rec professional out there watching this, or anybody out there that's in the game working with kids, being a part of the CPRS Society, not that I'm making a commercial for them, but National Parks and Rec, whatever it is, being a part of something bigger than yourself. That's what we're talking about, right? And what I thought was really cool yesterday for me was when I was watching a speaker, or when I was talking, the engagement, the conversation, and everybody in that room really sent, like, they showed they had a bigger sense of, it wasn't just about them, it was about in service, right? Big part of that. So talk about how that works with you and your mindset, because I know, obviously you've got, I know Kevin talks about all the time, of all of the franchisees, everybody working at National Capital Athletics, you have that sense of social, of what this is bigger than us. So talk a little bit about that. I'm interested to get a little bit of your perspective with that.
Yeah, we really liked the idea and how it was all about partnership and working with the communities. We want to be involved in the schools that we're at. We go to their fall festivals, we go to different things so we can see those kids in different aspect. I just love that kids get to be a part of it, that they have something to look forward to after school. Even in the rec centers, they look something forward to, and then they can just grow beyond themselves.
So as you decided, we're diving in, we're investing, we're making this our living, we're making this. Give me your mission. What is your mission? I know National Capital Athletics mission. I get that, but let's talk about your mission, because I think it's important. We talk a lot about it in the company level, but also everywhere we go, about knowing our why. When your why is really clear, the how becomes really self-evident, right? It's like, oh, I can do this. And I love the fact, like you talked about, where you're making a good living, and that's the plan, but it's more than just making money. It's really about the impact you're going to leave behind, right? But let's talk about your mission. What is your guys' mission?
Yeah, so our specific mission has to do with being inclusive of all abilities, as well as socioeconomic status. That's very important to us, is to not just be there for the ones that are neurotypical and completely able, but also those who, are divergent from that and have different abilities, and maybe they can't always afford the same things that other kids can afford. So that's really what we desire. Even, I'm coaching a class at one of our elementary schools, and there's two students that are in our class that don't know English very well, but their parents signed them up because it's another aspect for them to learn English in a fun way, and not just at school in the academics, but also through sports.
I love that. It's the whole shot. And I, growing up in the 60s, my mom used to talk about body, mind, spirit, right? The whole, how it all kind of comes together. And for you, I know that you're using our formula, and yet I see the videos, I see the photos, I see the smiles on the faces. So you guys are just impacting lives. So what has been one of the moments so far? It hasn't been that long, but I can think of times when I've coached somebody or done something, and then sometimes they'll bring up a piece of paper and they're drawing, and they're like thank you cards from them, things like that. Have you had any of those moments yet for you?
I think a big moment actually has to do with one that I would consider a little bit of a failure at first. We had a camp where there are some discouraging students, kind of negative impact some other kids, and we were really bummed about it. So we kind of had an attitude shift where we talked to the campers, and we're like, hey, this is about encouragement. This is about having fun. This is about trying new things. And that whole thing shifted. By the end of the week, those kids were high-fiving each other. They were encouraging each other. They were just had smiles on their faces. They knew before, we had our coaches telling them, okay, go high-five that person before we go get a water break or a snack. By the end, they're doing it themselves. They knew the routine, and they were happy about it.
Isn't that great when, again, I don't think there's any better life skill teaching tool than youth sports, right? That's obviously doing this since 1983, older than most in the room and most around, but I've seen impact. I saw it on my kids. I've seen it on my granddaughter and my kids. I see it, and I know it, and I feel it. And it's got to feel really good as you're going through, because your life mission, right, which is to have that impact, and then being able to do that on a daily basis. How special is that to be doing something that you really love? Because I think there's a lot of people out there that they got to go to a job instead of a joy, and that doesn't mean you're not working hard, and it doesn't mean that there's part of the job that are like, yeah, but right, like, what does that feel like for you?
I think just when you see yourself bringing other people joy, it's so much easier to have joy on that face, to know that you can actually see sometimes, you can see in numbers that you've had success, but other times you can see in faces and attitudes. And I think that's the most important part.
With the influx of big dollars coming into the youth sports space, and I studied this stuff a lot. Obviously, being a CEO of the company, I kind of need to pay attention, right? But it's interesting to me that some of the private equity, the direction they're going is how many units are you doing? And you and I look at each other like, huh? What are you talking about? It's like units, right? And it goes back to, like Magic Johnson back in the day. What my first camp with him and Cal Lutheran in Thousand Oaks, and like, what's the goal for the camp? And everybody's talking about fundamentals, and they're important, right? And we're gonna drive, and they're gonna do this and all these things and structure, and again, they're all important. But he said, no, guys, we're here to win kids. And that's that philosophy that is carried over. And I love the fact that you're able to do that. I mean, you get to do that every day as you go forward. So let's talk about obstacles for a second, because I ran into some people, and we're talking about resiliency. And yesterday on my post, I was talking about that one of the people we work with was struggling. It's like, I have to start over again. And I'm like, but wait, you didn't hit your goal. You didn't get where you want to go, but are you starting over from scratch? I said, no, you're starting over with experience. And you've learned. And if you do the same thing over again and expect a different result, well, that's insane. But if you learn from it, so let's talk about your experience a little bit in terms of getting where you're at a little bit. I'm curious about your resiliency, because I know, and I know your husband's story. I know where you come from. This has not just been a walk in the park. Right? You've had to do the work. You've had to carry through, right?
Yeah, definitely. I would say, a huge part of my story is changing my whole career to become a caregiver for my brother after he got into an accident and became disabled. And I think I have never seen more resiliency than working with adaptive athletes. And when he joined a sled hockey team, and I got to see those people, and it like you said, it wasn't starting over. It was because they had their previous experience, but they were even better because they had to adapt to these new challenges. And I think that has been such an encouragement for me. And that's why I think just seeing the power of sports through them has encouraged me, and is part of the reason I do this as well.
Yeah. And, it's amazing, because we take for granted, right, that we can do certain things in life, whatever that is, without assistance. And as we go forward, and I love the fact, getting back to what you did with those kids, because I feel like if you had gone and ran the camp and they didn't have we'll call it knucklehead behavior, right?
Yes.
You guys wouldn't have been able to help them see the wrong of what they were doing, and exponentially give them the opportunity to come out the other side. And I think that's spectacular. I know for myself in life, I've learned way more from failure than success, particularly when I've had a leader. A friend of mine had a son playing football, and football coach has been there for a long time. And the football coach was just let go. But the football coach that was there was maybe at a point where it was negative all the time, and it wasn't building them up. And so there's a time for a change. Hopefully that coach gets the opportunity to learn and grow and go from there, right? And you have that as well, because people are not realizing your position. You're not just out there doing it yourself. You have to hire people. You have to train people and do that as well. So can you talk a little bit about the process? What do you want in the people that work for you? What do you want for your coaches that you're going to put out there to work with these young people?
Yeah, I think number one is to be a good mentor, to be a good person, to be somebody that, regardless of what's going on, those coaches, the campers, the kids, they see them as some type of leader. And so we want them to be able to be encouraging to these kids, and what they say really matters. So I think just having that good mentorship. And then I would say next would be teachability, that they're willing to learn. We've had coaches that were brought on that are like, oh, this is the way it's done, this is how I do it, and are not kind of very flexible in it. And I don't think they're the best coaches. We don't see them have the most success. We see the ones that are willing to learn and grow from the experience, because each each group is going to be different, and what you did with one group is not necessarily going to work with this other group of kids. And so it's being able to be flexible and creative and shift even, what you had planned for the day. You never know, a field could be wet, something, and we want these coaches to be able to handle that.
Well, and it's interesting because that translates so much into life, right? I mean, you're driving and there's traffic and there's a roadblock. Are you just going to stop and wait 4 hours till they finish what they're doing? Or are you going to navigate around it, and figure that? And what I love is watching your staff navigate through, because while we have an app that explains how to do stuff, our philosophy is I'm going to give you, if you're making stew, I'm going to give you the meat, potatoes, and everything else, but they got to cook it and they got to make the spice and they got to make it their own, because that's what makes it taste so good. And when they have that buy-in to deliver that, it's so powerful. So as you look at the structure of the programs you run, and I know your guys' programs are very structured, and yet you're able, just like you mentioned, to have that flow. How do you think you can relate that to success outside of the camp for the kids and your staff? Because I get it, but I think our audience might like to hear a little about that.
Yeah, definitely. That adaptability is so key in life, because life is not one straight and narrow, easy path. It twists and it curves. And I think being able to see a situation and take a step back and be able to look at it at a bigger perspective and what's important, I think is definitely key in life. And I think, for the kids that are joining our camp, we want them to be able to adapt and try new things. We see as we get older, sometimes we get a little more intimidated by doing that. But if we give them a safe place to do it, and then they'll be encouraged to continue to be able to try new things and be learners for the rest of their life.
Love it. The philosophy at the Nash Cav Athletics, which bleeds from you, which I love, because that's what we get. It's amazing, because some of the things, and I know I talk about my mom all the time, but she was an amazing woman. My mom gave me the freedom. Now, there are consequences for things that I didn't do, but there was a freedom to make it my journey. And if I failed, there wasn't judgment, and I say it all the time. She used to say this: "What's the lesson? What's the lesson, honey?" I'm like, just tell me the answer. But sometimes most of the times me learning what the lesson is for ourselves. That's right. We hold these truths become self-evident. We figure these things out. And that really is the game changer across the board. So let's get personal. Share with me a little bit. No one's paying attention, but give me a story when you were younger, that maybe a failure or something that happened for you personally, that, I got to imagine through the martial arts, there's got to be stories about it, but that has been your resiliency, your individual, where have lifted you up, where maybe a time that you can reflect on something that you've learned that you've been able to help for yourself, but also bring forward.
Yeah, I think for me, I can think of even like in school, struggling in high school. And I think I wouldn't say I was failing, but I was struggling in classes. And I think I took I learned, and I actually switched schools. And I think it wasn't that I couldn't handle the school that I was at. But I think it was me knowing myself and learning to, ask for what I needed. And I think that is such a, key importance in life. And for me, having a smaller class size just made a huge difference. And that's what I did. And I, in some aspects you'd say, well, I started at one school and I wasn't able to graduate from that school, but in turn, I was able to do so much more, and I knew what I wanted. And I think it brought me into college, being able to pick the right school for myself so that I could have success.
Love that. And, there also comes from your parents being able to recognize and listen, and you having the self-awareness to go, I know myself. And I think a lot of people struggle trying to they say to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom, right? Let's go back all the way back to Aristotle, right? Why not throw it out there? But what does that have to do with sports? Well, everything, because again, my philosophy is, what better scientific, physical destination than through sport, because we get all of it, right? We get the physical component of trying something new, being uncomfortable, like we like to say, fail fast, fail forward, learn through it, grow through it, glow through it. So that's big. So back to martial arts for a second. Was there a mentor that you had, one that was like your guiding light all the way through, or were there several, or how did that work for you?
There were a couple for sure. I think there was one who was definitely my mentor, in my own martial arts, but also in my teaching a lot, and taught me how to be a good teacher and how to work with the kids and get down to their level. And we taught alongside each other a lot. And I think it was really great because I think I learned it even better for myself when I was able to teach it.
Right. Yeah. The fact of having somebody that, they ask all the time, like when I say, coaches, how many teachers do we have in the room? And they don't raise their hand. I go, you're missing it. You're all teachers, right? But then how many role models as well, right? Because if you have a child and you're teaching them how to shoot a basket and you do it like this, they're going to do it like you, even if you said it one way, right? It's more the action that you show, right? And it sounds like you had a good mentor. I know that the mentors I've had, from Coach Sislos to Coach Wooden and everybody in between, have really led us down the path to get to the place where we can now give it back. But I love the idea of the leadership that comes because you become exponentially better when you can teach it, right? So talk a little bit about your teaching philosophy of that with the coaches and what you're putting out there. Would you explain talk, teach, play? I'm going to put you on the spot. A little bit of talk, teach, play, because I love the philosophy. Obviously, I know where it comes from, but talk a little bit about that, because I think it's an important piece, whether you're working at camp or you're coaching a team. There's a lot to that, right?
Yeah. So with our talk, teach, play, and trying to make it down to the level of kids, because their attention span is not as good as ours, although sometimes ours is not that good as well. But when we're making it into sizable chunks for the kids, that's what's really important. So we talk about it, we teach on the sport, and we let them play. We don't spend all day just talking and teaching, because we want them to just go out there and try it for themselves, even if it's not, the best positioning, or they're not hitting perfectly or doing it right. We just want them to have that experience for themselves. And I think that's a really important, and what we're trying to with our coaches is that, it might not look pretty all the time, but if they're happy, they're trying it, and we can, fine tune it later.
Yeah, I love when I see, because I get to see some of the videos with you guys, and I love when I see them out there and I watch that the kids are doing it and they're having fun, and we're focusing on the joy of the game, and they're learning through, and there's a time to teach and there's a time to play. And during the teaching time, there's directions and corrections and fundamentals, because we want them to know the boundaries of the games. And then when there's time to play, I feel like we have to be careful in leadership, no matter who it is, of choking the joy out of whatever that is, right? So what do you guys do? What do you do to help keep, let's say, the energy's down, right, in the program? What do you do to bring that energy back?
So I think we kind of talk with the kids, and we try and get to know them and see, different ones, what's their favorite thing. And maybe it's a little bit of a reward system, but we're going to work through this, but then after, you guys get to do this game, and they're stoked about it. Or, we're going to do this, and you're going to do what you want to do after. And they're happy, because there's certain games that, I don't know many kids that don't love dodgeball, don't love throwing the ball at someone. And, I'll get involved too. There's a team that's not doing so great. I'm like, okay, you guys, throw it at me, and just get right in there.
I love that you're not taking yourself too seriously, because I think coaching is an art, and if it's done right, it can be magnificent. And if it's done the wrong mentality, it can break the kids down too much. The old school was, we're going to break these kids down to build them up. And I look at it and go, what do you got to break them down for? Right? Life is already breaking them down, right? They've already been through so much. Let's just continue to lift them up. And we can do it in a way where we're lifting and giving directions and corrections and things, but we're focusing more on the effort than just the result, right? So I've got a clear definition of success for myself that obviously I got from Coach Wooden. Talk a little bit about for yourself. Let's talk about success. I think we deserve some success. Let's talk about it. What is your definition for you, for your philosophy in success? Talk about that.
Yeah. So if I see success of maybe a successful camp or a successful class, of course I want to see enjoyment, and I want to see kids making friends and being social. I really think an important thing that I want to do, and as well as I want to teach my coaches to do, is what happened with me is the confidence building. And I think being someone who was quite shy as a child, I think that was such a key for me in my martial arts, was gaining the confidence to be able to do something and being empowered. And that's really, I really see as success, is these kids feeling empowered to try new things, to go for it.
Yeah, no, I love, like you're talking about, because I know on Monday they come at camp and they're holding on to their mom's, skirt, and they're afraid and they're a little bit, and then by Tuesday it's a little better. By Wednesday, Thursday, bye mom, and they're like, they don't even say, like, the parent, like, what happened? It's like you're developing the confidence and allowing the kids to have the freedom to fail and the freedom to try it, and encouraging them. That, again, using that positive reinforcement. Even I know that our philosophy is that if a child's not doing what they need to do, we don't make them do push-ups and run and make it that exercise is negative, right? The philosophy is to pivot away from that, pull them out of the activity, and you don't get to play the game unless you can participate. And I love the fact that you're using a lot more carrot than stick. And that's just, again, it's a different philosophy, but I'm finding, after 2 million kids doing this for a long time, that absolutely rises up. Well, we're going to take a break in a second here. When we come back, we're going to dig in a little bit talking about parents. So if you got kids out there and you're going to be either coaching them or getting them involved in programs, we're going to talk a little bit about that. So let's take a break and we'll come back after that. We'll dig back in. See you in a minute.
At DPRS Media Co., we don't just create content. We elevate community through storytelling. Now, we're proud to introduce the newest addition to the family. Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the podcast where champions are shaped not just on the field, but in life. Hosted by National Academy of Athletics founder Aaron Locks. Youth Sports Mastery dives deep into how youth sports can empower kids, strengthen communities, and build leaders. From coaching culture to recreation strategy, and from player development to parent impact, every episode brings game-ready insight from the people making it happen. Youth Sports Mastery goes live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics and powered by DPRS Media Co. This is where purpose meets play.
Are you ready to lead the next generation of Parks and Rec? Whether you're a student, intern, or rising leader, welcome to the Young Professionals Network by DPRS Media Co. Our mission? To empower early career professionals in parks and recreation through mentorship, visibility, and real-world leadership development. Our vision? A national network of passionate, prepared, and purpose-driven leaders who shape the future of public service. Starting now. Powered by the Daily Parks and Rec Show, YPN gives you access to exclusive interviews, career-building resources, behind-the-scenes content, and live events, all created by and for the next wave of Parks and Rec professionals. Learn from seasoned directors, build your brand, get involved with national conversations that matter. Whether you're in youth sports, facilities, programming, or policy, YPN is your launchpad. Young Professionals Network, your career, your community, your story.
Welcome back to the Youth Sports Mastery. I'm here with Christiana Lawrence from the National Academy of Athletics down here in San Diego, California. Having a great conversation, and it's interesting as you get a chance to watch what they've got going on there and just kind of pause and it's funny when you go to break, some people you just kind of get to space out for a second. For me, I keep watching what they're putting out there. It's really good stuff. The young professionals is really that's a great thing they're doing. Good job, DPRS. Keep up the good work. My hat's off to you. So, Christiana, we were just starting to talk a little bit about, we went through the philosophy stuff, and now let's talk about, okay, so I'm a parent and I've got a child. Let's talk a couple of things. One, right now there's a lot of push on parents to help their kids be the next Ronaldo, the next Steph Curry, the next right? That's there. And they're being told the only way they're going to get there is if they play year round and specialize and all that. You got a philosophy or an idea or a concept around that? Anything you want to share with us?
Yeah, well, I think just talking with some of the students yesterday from the conference that go to SDSU, a lot of them were talking about how they got burnt out on some of these sports because of being so privatized and focusing so much pressure on one sport. And they were just sharing on their own. I was just kind of being a fly on the wall, listening to their conversation about how they, the high school was like, oh, you're only going to start if you do this, and you're only going to do it if you're on this certain team. And it just didn't seem right. And they just lost, it really showed that they just lost the joy in it. And one of the girls was sharing how she was, super into softball. And then she pivoted to water polo because the coach of softball wasn't a great fit. And then she found a great coach at water polo. And really the coach was the one who made her really love the new sport over everything.
And it's funny because you can't always pick your coach, right? That's not the thing. But I love the fact that, again, having the wherewithal like you did, that's not a good fit for me, so I'm going to try something else. I mean, you have to, that's part of navigating through life as we go forward with it. So if I'm a parent, I'm going to pick a sport for my kid. I'm going to tell you someone that, I've got two adult children that have been through it. Play everything. Play seasonally, play local, play Parks and Rec. We're starting a campaign that is It's Just Rec. And when I hear that, it used to be like fingernails on a chalkboard for me, right? Because it's just rec. And I'm like, wait a second, I was a rec kid. I did Boys and Girls Club. I did Mount Carmel CYO basketball. I did, rec ball, that Mill Valley Parks and Rec. That's what we did, right? So when you look at it, how do you think, do you think the camps and clinics you run, do you think they can help have an impact on helping people realize that it's not just rec, it's more than rec?
Yeah, I hope so. And I think when we're talking too about, what the parents are being told, I think a lot of them, we don't even see the parents very much during our camps or even after school. They don't really even see us. So they're just getting back the feedback from their kids. And I think if they're coming home, the kids are coming home with a smile on their face, I think they're going to be pretty happy with the program.
Yeah. My belief is always, if my kids came home happy and tired, it's a winner. Right?
Oh yeah, we definitely had some parents share that their kids were not nappers, but after our camp, they'd go home and take a nice nap.
That's awesome. I love that. So when you guys are teaching the kids and you're educating the parents, I know from us yesterday when we were talking to the Parks and Rec professionals in San Diego County, there is a real movement towards trying to figure out how more parents can understand the value of the rec programs. Talk a little bit about maybe just value of rec sports in general that you see as a recreation professional, that you see the value, and what are they going to get from coming to a camp? What are they going to get from going to a clinic or participating in your PE class or after school program or things like that?
Yeah, I think a huge thing is social skills and friendship, which maybe doesn't always come to the forefront of our mind, but I've seen the kids in our camps and then them decide to hang out after camp, and they're talking to their parents, they're making new friends, and whoever they are at school may be one person, but when they get to be at camp, when they get to be in these classes, they might get to show off a different personality and introduce them to people they might not have been friends with before. And I think it's a big priority.
You mentioned confidence earlier, and I love that. I was thinking back to my daughter when she was younger, and while she was a social butterfly, but her confidence at times, some things like she was really good at, and so her confidence was top level. But then when she tried a new sport, her confidence was low at first, but then she was able to build her confidence. And I love that because that's the resiliency we talked about earlier. The other part that I thought was really cool is when she was really good at something, she developed her leadership skills to help others. And then when she wasn't as good, there was also empathy. There was also other things that you're right, that are not, they're not called out when, if you think it's just sports, but it's more than sports, right? It really is. And how that whole thing flows. I really hope, what scares me is that, when I was a kid, and I sound like an old guy and I am, but 9 out of 10 kids used to play team sport, and now it's less than 5 out of 10. and what we can do to keep that going forward. I do think your philosophy and the mindset of making sure that it's a whole experience for them so they can come out and gain and get more than just the fundamentals and the boundaries of the game. So let me ask you this. Okay, I'm going to give you the magic wand. You're the czar of youth sports. Give me one or two things that you think that you'd like to see in youth sports that would either change or happen more, let's say in the next 3 to 5 years. What do you got for me?
Yeah, I think I talked about my philosophy in inclusion and of abilities and socioeconomic status. I think that would be really something I would like to see more. I think, there's different programs for different levels, but I think being the rec level, usually ours is a little bit more better for the budget. And I think to become even more, I would love it to see. I would love to be able to see it in all of our schools. And if kids can't afford it, then there's programs that could help fund it from different abilities. I've had parents that have shared that their child might be on the spectrum or a certain thing, and they're nervous about sending them to this because they're not sure how it's handled and we want to be a place that's safe for different kids of different abilities to try things and not feel like because they act a certain way, and just give our coaches strategies of how and teach them more of how that we can best, suit all different types of kids.
I love that. And so if a kid's never played a sport before, coming to your camp would be a good thing, right?
Oh, yeah. We had many kids this year at our camps, especially our juniors, our younger ones. Several of the kids had never done sports before, were shy and nervous. But, by the end, they were all really involved and trying their best.
I feel for me that I want nothing wrong with club and elite. Again, there's a place for it, but I want more kids playing sports, and I want more kids playing rec sports. I want more kids playing multiple sports, right? Talk a little bit about the all sport camp you guys do, because I love that the way you guys do it with the National Cav Athletics. Of course, I'm kind of partial, but just the fact that it's a smorgasbord of kind, right?
Yeah, I think with the all sports, it's really great, especially for kids who maybe have even a specialized sport that they're involved in, because most of those kids, that are really good at one sport, it's not just because that sport is their calling necessarily, they're athletic and they've chosen one, but they could really have fun at a lot of different things. So I think it's a great way for everyone to get, a taste of different things and a different focus. It kind of allows someone to try several different things. And so, none of the kids are perfect at all the sports. So they're kind of a more of a even level playing field where there's, maybe they're a soccer star when we're doing that part, but then they're trying baseball and they just haven't done that before. So I think it kind of gives people more of an even level that we're all trying this. And a lot of us are new to this different thing.
So what kind of sports do you guys offer when you do the all sport?
Yeah, so we do quite a few: wiffle ball, flag football. We do dodgeball, some soccer, and a few, and definitely a different relays and some other team games that they all enjoy. Yeah.
My philosophy is that a child's body is an all-terrain vehicle, and we need to let them drive it. We need to let them, go off road with it a little bit, and if you don't encourage kids to have the chance to take it out of first gear, you know what I mean? To put it in 4-wheel drive, to try something. And I love the fact, like you're talking about, if I'm a soccer player, I'm probably not focusing on my hand-eye coordination very much. But in baseball, you better have hand-eye coordination or it's going to hurt, right? And giving them the different components can really help them across the board. So what do you do when you've got a child that comes to camp and they're not very good at it at the start? How do you work with them? Like, what is your mode of operandi to help engage them with that?
Yeah, so I try and get on their level. I try and see what they enjoy and try and highlight those aspects of the things. If there's certain things that they enjoy about it, also just being some of them, maybe it's the social aspect, maybe it's being friends, and it's like, okay, you get to be with your friend for this one, so you're going to be partnered up. So, and then they'll be more motivated to work hard. It's finding that it's, as much of a team and group activity, it's also really about the individual's need. And that's, a big part of what we try and do is make it that it's hard to, individually each child, but as best we can, we do so that they're all enjoying and doing their best. Yeah.
When you can have a structure that allows enough fluidity to adjust. I know I've seen where normally we do passing with 2 players, and then there's a third person that doesn't have someone or a friend, so you do it with 3. Right? Oh, well, that's okay. That's part of the adjustment. Let's roll it. Let's go out there and do that. So I love that you have that adaptability with that. For my kids, I always found that when they tried a league, they're going to play in a league, that it was so important to go to a camp or clinic first. Because if you're going to start, especially if it's a newer sport, but just to get your body to understand the boundaries and the fundamentals and to have some fun with it. My daughter, it's funny because she always met her new best friend, right? Every whatever camp it was, she had a new best friend, and I love that because that's a really healthy way, right? Usually the kids that are involved in sports, not all the parents sometimes, but the kids themselves, there's a more healthy mentality there. So when the kids come to camp, what can a parent expect? If I give you my child for a 3-hour camp or an after-school sport or a week-long, what can I expect from your staff? And what can I expect from the experience for my child?
Yeah. We try and be a really safe place that kids feel that they can, be themselves in the appropriate lines, but be themselves. And I think being that encouraging, that safe space, that's what we seek to do. We try and get to know the child more than just the sport. We ask them questions. We also try and let them get to know the coach a little bit too, have them share.
I think that's good. The role model and the connection between two is good. When if you've got a child that's going to play and you're out there and you're not sure where to start, I will just tell you, start at the rec level. I know your kid's a great athlete and you played and all this other stuff, but start at the rec level, whether it's Parks and Recreation or a camp or a clinic, because by starting at that level, it can make all the difference in the world for them. Because if they start with a joyous way of being introduced to sport, they have a much better chance of falling in love with doing it, whether they're good at it or not, right? I mean, I think we focus on that, going back to the success piece. Now, you guys have a little bit more specialty ability, which I really love, which is that if kids, young adults, whatever, are not necessarily traditional athletes, right? Maybe they've got, like you said, on the spectrum, and they've got some other abilities in life or challenges. Talk a little bit about that. I think that's really a warm spot. You guys have it hard. I'd love to hear more about that.
So we were able to partner this year with San Diego Therapeutics Department, and we specifically helped at some of their adaptive camp with young adults and adults even on the spectrum, Down syndrome, a few other different things. And a lot of them they enjoyed, and it was all different levels, and we were able to adapt it. So it might not have been running to get something. It was walking fast. It might have not been, they couldn't do all the same different things, but we were able to adapt that. So we want to really bring that into all of our youth. So that's already, something that's important to us to do.
And if you've got a child that's on a spectrum out there, and let's say I've got self-diagnosed ADHD. So here we go. And some people, they sign up for a program and they don't want to let the camp staff know that there's a challenge there, right? Because they're like, oh, I'm afraid they're going to be not let my child play or be judged differently. Explain that a little bit, because I do think for you guys, you want to know what's going on, right? You want to engage.
Yeah, we want the athlete to have a great time, and so we like to know if there's certain things. When I coach the class that I coach after school, there's certain kids that focus as a struggle, so I use them as my examples. They're my go-to examples, because when they're being the example, they turn on that different side of them, and they're the example. So it's very helpful to know, because we can make, adjustments, or I'll say, these kids will be paired up, and sometimes we'll do it where maybe more of, and I'll tell some of the kids, okay, you're going to be the leader, and this child needs a little bit more help. So I want you to be a good example and partner with them for this. And, some kids really thrive in a leadership position, and it'll make them, just have stand up, and they can be very kind and sweet to maybe the child that has a little bit more need. So it's really a beautiful thing to see, especially like I said, with some of our second language students that come to our class. I mean, I think it's just a privilege that they trust us enough to send their kid, that their kid doesn't even know what's going on, but they trust that we're going to keep them safe. We're going to have them try and do it to their best of the ability. I'm explaining it and I'm showing them, and they might not fully, they're running maybe an opposite direction because they're not there yet. And that's all right.
Yeah. I love that you're able to create an environment that truly is inclusive, which is what, rec sports is all about. They're learning, they're growing, they're having fun, and they feel safe, right? Isn't that what we want for our kids? I mean, that's just drop the mic. That's it, right? That's what we want for them, to be able to have that opportunity. So let's talk about challenges again, because I was just thinking about it. As you're connecting with the community leaders in San Diego County, and if you're listening to this and you're in San Diego, reach out to Christiana. Let's see what you guys can do to work together in service. What's one of the challenges you're having in terms of maybe connectivity with the Parks and Rec everybody? Because I know everybody's so busy, right? And we see how many challenges they're going through. So talk about the challenge of that, connecting with them and how to work with them.
Yeah, I think there's some challenges in being kind of new to the game in this role. And so sometimes they want to know who else you've worked with before, and sometimes your list is a little bit short. So I think kind of some of that initial just getting on the books, and, maybe they've worked with other organizations in the past and they feel, they don't want to try something new. Even as adults, we struggle to try something new. So for them to maybe take a little bit of a risk, that can be a challenge to get them to see us in those ways. I think we've tried to pivot, and that's why we've done a lot of schools right now, because there was several schools that we're working with that didn't have a lot of other programs. And so they're like, if you're willing to come, we're willing to have you.
Love that. Yeah. I think that there's, people talk about competition, and I think competition is actually a good thing. I think that if you're a rec leader and you've got an organization, that's great, but make sure you're able to offer the full spectrum from pickleball for kids to dodgeball to grass volleyball or beach volleyball or different components, because you never know what's going to inspire and turn those kids on, right? And being able to figure out, well, we've got it covered because we've got the leagues, but maybe you don't have the camps and clinics, which is a great place to start. So as you're going forward, and it's amazing, I watched you and Adrian yesterday just connecting with the rec professionals. They love you guys, which is great. Talk a little bit about your understanding, what you're seeing from the educators, the Parks and Rec professionals, and just what your vibe you're getting from them already. And I know I'm asking for a shout out for them, but I feel like it's been pretty good. I love being around them. Right? What are you feeling?
Yeah, I think it was very encouraging yesterday to hear them. I do think, a lot of them, sometimes they get pushed a little bit in a box of what they think they can do. And I think being able to hear a little bit more creativity yesterday and more dreams and more ideas from them was great, because I think sometimes, and we can all do this in our different roles, is see it one way and it's so important to have, new and creativity and kind of push the box a little bit. And I think it's great to hear from them and to see that they're wanting to do that.
Yeah. We've worked with the city of La Mesa for about, I think, going on 10 years. What do you got going down in La Mesa? I know you guys have done summer programs and stuff. What's going down in La Mesa? So anybody in San Diego, California, what's happening down there?
Yeah, so in La Mesa, we have a few classes that are going on Saturdays. So we just started. So if you still want to sign up, we're doing all sports. So they get a little taste of everything. We have our younger students, 4 to 7, and then 7 to 13. And then we're going to be doing our Thanksgiving break, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from 9 to 12. So they'll be able to, have something to do on their week off, but they're just going to be home, and that's a great place for them to be active and enjoy.
Get them off the couch.
Get them off the couch.
Bring them home happy and tired, and let parents have a breather. So summer camps are a big deal, right? Summer camps. Throughout the nation, every state versus every city, there's summer camps. That's a big piece of what it is. I'm curious, Talk about the summer camp option. I know we're not there yet, but somebody's going to see it at some point, and they're going to be looking at. Some people are already scheduling for next summer.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah. So talk about summer camp. Talk a little bit about your philosophy, the experience, what you're providing, because I don't want people to forget that in some cases we can also be used as daycare. Let's be honest, right? That's part of what summer camp is. But they're going to get a different experience for that as well, right? Through summer camp.
Yeah, so summer camp is an awesome option. I think kids are most of the time super excited to be there. I think especially, midsummer, they may have gotten a little bit, they were excited to be out of school. Now they're a little bored, have something to look forward to. What our kids really enjoyed it. And I think the proof was in how many kids signed up for more than 1 week. They were signed up originally for a week. They had so much fun. They decided to come back and join in. I think it's a testament to the coaches that we had and the group we had, that there were smiles on their faces and they re-signed up.
I love that. And the fact that they're out there playing sports and having fun and making new friends. I watch a lot of our camps and I watch a lot of the stuff in the recreational program. And again, it doesn't matter if it's, a local camp or whatever it is across the board. If the philosophy is about effort and about inclusiveness and about fun and fundamentals and those components, the kid's going to have a positive experience most likely. And it doesn't matter if they're not really good at that sport. Where else would you get? I mean, if you think about this, let's do the math. If you signed up to play, let's say, a Little League baseball, you're going to get maybe 2 practices a week for an hour or so, and you're going to go 10 weeks. So it's like 20 hours, right? If you do a 9 to 3 camp with you guys for 1 week, that's 30 hours. Mm-hmm. Look how much more opportunity they have in a more confined, controlled environment positively to develop so much more love of the game and all those factors. Speaking of games, I'm curious. I like to ask the question of these. What are some of the games that the kids play that you use at the camp that kids really love? I know one, like in Sonoma County, they love Sharks and Minnows. They love Sharks and Minnows, right? And the game. What's a game that you guys, because you remember, play is really where they get to be creative and fun and use their body to dodge and move and try new skills. And when we talk about Sharks and Minnows, as an example, what does that have to do with the game of soccer? Well, they have to dribble the ball as they're playing Sharks and Minnows. So they're learning and they're having fun at the same time. How cool is that, right?
Oh, yeah. I think some of these games is kind of what brings the kids and keeps them coming because, we'll go through some more teaching and talking about different skills and what's motivating them is to get to that end game I'd say a big one for us. For the olders, I'd say dodgeball is a really big one. They love it. And I think another one, this for all ages, is grab that flag. They have a flag belt. They're trying to grab the flag of other people while keeping theirs protected. So they're using defense and offense. And they love it. They're just running around. They're like, let's play again. Let's do it again.
We used to call that tag when I was a kid, right? But again, think about it. They're learning strategy, right? They're learning to control their body, hand-eye coordination. I mean, when Coach Wooden used to say a really good coach would create drills that would teach, reinforce, and practice multiple skills because then you're maximizing the time you use. Well, you just said a game that's doing exactly that. And I love that opportunity for the kids to be able to have that going forward. So on social media, I know you guys have a youth sports lovers page. You guys have some different social media. If people want to find you, where's the best place for them to find you on social media?
So we're on Facebook, and we're also on Instagram. The Instagram NA of A San Diego North. That's a really good place. We share a lot there, and you can be connected.
Good. And if someone wants to sign up and find out, let's say someone says, "Hey, I'm in the city of San Diego at a rec center, or I'm in Oceanside, California, and I'm a rec leader, and I would love to work with you." What do I do? How do I find you guys?
Yeah, you can find me, Christiana Lawrence, on LinkedIn, or go to our webpage, nationalacademyofathletics.com, and look for San Diego North, and you'll find me under there.
Perfect. Okay. And if I'm a parent and I want to find out what programs you guys are offering. Let's say I'm in San Marcos or I'm in La Mesa and I want to find out what's going on. How do I do that?
Yeah, so same thing. The webpage is probably the best one, National Academy of Athletics. And you go to San Diego North, you can find all the different places we're at. It'll show either the school or the rec places. Yes.
Fantastic. I got to tell you, we work with a lot of people throughout the nation, and I'm very blessed to see the rec professionals out there. And I want to thank those rec professionals out there that are doing what they are. I love the fact that our team, we consider ourselves part of the recreation community and being a recreation professional and being a part of that going forward. If you're out there and you're kind of like listening to this and you're wondering, well, what's my next step? If you're interested in the business side of becoming a franchise, how's that experience been for you in terms of owning your own business and that? How's that been?
Yeah, so it's really nice with the a little bit of the flexibility of kind of using the model, but kind of making it your own in your every area. And like we talked about earlier about being adaptable, same thing. It's, the franchise model is adaptable to the different areas, to the rec centers, to the schools, to the different programs you may be involved in. If you're in the San Diego area and you're interested in interning with us, we'd love that too. And we can teach you a little bit more if that's something you see in your future.
Love that. That's great. And you can still go to nationalacademyathletics.com. If you're interested in the franchise, go to naofafranchise.com. If you're a rec professional, don't forget to enter to win. They're actually giving away a franchise as well. So a lot of opportunity. I thank everybody for spending the time and listening. Christiana, thanks for your time. This is awesome. Lots of good information. I just love this because it reinforces so many good concepts and ideas, and I absolutely love it. So thanks for your time. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, and we will see you next Thursday when we get to talk more about how everybody gets to play hard and have fun. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you. Take care. Thank you.
When you invest in our high-performance LED sports arena lights, you're not just upgrading your facilities, you're helping us illuminate the untold stories of parks and recreation communities. Every purchase directly supports the Daily Parks and Rec Show, a media platform on a mission to celebrate the heart and soul of our local parks and programs. From after-school activities to summer leagues, these spaces shape lives, and their stories deserve to be told. Why your support matters. Capturing community impact. Your contribution helps us assemble a talented team of digital artists, storytellers, and filmmakers to create compelling videos, articles, and short films that spotlight how Parks and Rec programs change lives. Sharing untold stories. From a child's first home run to lifelong friendships forged on the court, we'll document these priceless moments and share them with the world. Inspiring the next generation. By highlighting the joy, inclusivity, and opportunities found in our parks, we foster a deeper appreciation for these vital community spaces. Light up arenas, brighten futures. Your choice to install LED sports arena lights isn't just a smart investment in energy efficiency and performance, it's an investment in stories that deserve to be told. Be part of the story. Take action today. Purchase LED sports arena lights and help us shine a spotlight on the heartwarming stories that define our parks and communities. Contact us now to learn more about our products and how your support fuels the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Together, we'll shine a light on the moments that matter most.
Behind every thriving park, every safe playground, every event-ready field, there's a team working before sunrise and long after sunset. This is Facility Maintenance, the only show created for and by the unsung heroes of parks and recreation. Brought to you by DPRS Media Co., where real work gets real recognition. From restrooms to rec centers, HVAC to turf tech, we go beyond the job site into the heart of operations that keep our communities moving. Our mission? To elevate maintenance teams through stories, solutions, and shared experience. Our vision? A world where every facility crew is seen, valued, and fully supported. Each episode features operators, innovators, and leaders, sharing tools, tech, and tactics that make the impossible look easy. Facility maintenance isn't just a job, it's purpose, it's passion, and now it's a show. Facility maintenance, where tools meet purpose, where work becomes legacy.